Coalition of NGO presents a new website. We have Volodymyr Scherbachenko from Coalition Non-Violence in Donbas. We have Alina Bondar, East Ukrainian Center of Civil Initiatives. We have Kateryna Vizhevska of NGO Myrnyi, Bereg, Denysenko, Luhansk Regional Advocacy Center Alternative, and Oleksandr Pavlichenko, Kharkiv Advocacy Group Deputy Director. Good afternoon, dear friends, and I invite Volodymyr. Good afternoon. Today we would like to present the website of our coalition and to describe the major aspects of the coalition work. We plan to show presentation. Do you have a presentation? Yes, we have it on a stick. While you are downloading, we will say a couple of words about our coalition. We are an association of 17 human rights coalitions from Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts. The major objective of our coalition is to document violations of the international humanitarian law and the violation of human rights in course of the military conflict in the east of Ukraine. We have several principles which we put into foundation of our coalition. So the unprejudiced approach, which means that we register all violations of human rights, irrespectively of the party that had committed. Either these are Ukrainian servicemen or Russian Federation servicemen or the militants, it does not matter for us. The voluntary approach, that is, we unite voluntary organizations. We are unprejudiced and very precise when collecting the data. We apply the triangle principle of verification of data. Also, we stuck with the major legal principles existing in Ukraine and international. Very important for us is to defend the rights of victims and witnesses of the events in course of military conflict. We clearly understand that quite often those people are in tough life conditions. What do? We collect information about the gravest violations. We try to tackle the impunity of the guilty people. Quite often we collect evidences for international institutions. We provide legal assistance to those who need it. Since we do not have medical experts or psychologists in our organization, but we can advise to the victims where to address with these problems. And also we produce our opinion about real violation of human rights. How do we document it? The major way to document is to carry out an interview with the victim and with the witnesses. They described what they experienced and what they had seen. Sometimes when the victims agree, we do visual and sound recording. Then people should sign the agreement about storage and the use of this data. We have unified methodology how to collect the data. When the data are collected, we carry out the additional online investigation. We serve open sources, public sources. We analyze the reports from other organizations. In our work, we get assistance from the UN Development Program with the International Renaissance Foundation, and we also cooperate with a number of international organizations. For us, it is extremely important to collect information from witnesses and from victims. Sometimes it's difficult to find all those people. Sometimes they are not ready to speak immediately upon the event. Sometimes after some time of after such event, they feel ready to register this offense and to inform about it. Now on the screen you see the main page of a website that Volodymyr mentioned. The idea of the website appeared in February this year. Our objective was to
allow everyone who knows about violation of human rights during the conflict in Donbas to inform about such violations to the advocates. There is a section on the website that allows to learn about the situation in Donbas. Here we have unique materials which are based on the evidence collected by the coalition for the sake of the peace in Donbas. This evidence was collected from the interviews of people who survived the tortures, who were imprisoned, and who agreed to talk about that. Now you see interactive map which demonstrates all the violations, different types of violations, illegal places of detention, illegal detentions, and so on, the location where the crime was committed. Next slide shows that these violations could be sorted out according to the types. You can, for example, elect illegal places of detention, and you can see all these places. If you click on an icon violation, you will see the publication which is related to this type of violation and with this place. If it is a legal place of detention, if you click here, you will see the material talking about this place. Here you see the Slavianske SBU entrance. You will see the photographs, the quotations of people who were detained, the evidence about the conditions, the attitude of the personnel to them. And to inform about the crime. That is the main part of the website. Here you can leave the information about the person who informs about the crime. You can leave your contact detail. You can select the type of the violation, indicate the place where it was committed, and you can add either a photo or video or text. All this information is encrypted and is transferred to the secure database of the coalition. This is the process of transferring this information from the website that is transferred to the buffer, then to the database, so that this information is not lost at any stage of the transfer of information, so that no one can see the person who is submitting the information. Anyone who is courageous enough to give this information should feel safe and secure. Now I would like to give the floor to my colleagues who will tell more about priority directions of work of the coalition for 2016. That was Elena Botnar, now Kateryna Vizhevska. During our activities, the members of our coalition, of our organization, learned about the facts of violation of the rights of the first generation. These are the
напрямків. На сьогоднішній день
these are executions which were taking place without any court proceedings. We now know about 30 facts of such types of executions, and also a lot of tortures. The project executed at Donbas, the facts of murders and tortures in Donbas. That is the project that will be supported by Renaissance Foundation. Official sources do not like to inform about that. The reports of some NGOs and UN reports talk about that, but not a lot. The main objective of our project is to draw attention of the world community to that, to the fact that the punishment is irreversible, to help those who were victims or who were witnesses or who had some relation to such executions or tortures. This project executed at Donbas will be directed toward analysis documenting the crimes related to punishment and executions. Also, it will be directed towards research and investigation of such cases. Under this project, we are planning to organize 40 interviews with those who were victims. We are planning to draft a report later that will be sent to our national bodies, to international organizations who are responsible for the protection of human rights, and also to
будуть висвітлені на сайті як коаліції, так і на сайті нашої організації «Мирний берег». Також усім, хто буде у цьому зацікавлений, тобто жертвам або...
Ні, це щось не то.
Правова, тобто це буде правовий супровід у національних та міжнародних судах. І плюс до того,
all this information will be transferred to the database, which in the future will allow to investigate these cases, not to allow anyone not to be punished. Those who are guilty will be punished. This is to be documented now, because we are losing the facts. People are ready, and that is why we are implementing this project. Such organizations and Eastern European Center for Public Initiatives and Post-Op Center will participate in this work. All other members of the coalition of the organization will also participate, but these three organizations are main partners in executing this project.
Major objective of our project is to draw attention of international community and to prevent impunity. Another aspect of our work is to attract attention to the victims, to the war prisoners, to the victims of tortures. This group will be investigated, and those who will express their willingness, they will get assistance. All the facts will be communicated to the national law enforcement agencies. Thank you, Kateryna. We have Denysenko. I'm representing Luhansk Regional Advocacy Center Alternative, and with the support of Renaissance Foundation is documenting the cases of prohibited prohibited attacks on the public health institutions in course of war. The international law, particularly the Hague Convention about onshore warfare activities from 1949, imposes a ban on the use of war methods which could make considerable harm to civil objects, and prohibit to bomb hospitals, civil hospitals, clinics, etc. The World Health Organization reports that 32 healthcare institutions in the east of Ukraine were damaged, while 17 hospitals are damaged and nevertheless continue to function. We collect our information from state authorities, from the ministry, about each case of attack on the healthcare institution. We also plan to carry out interviews with the victims, with witnesses, who can provide evidences to our investigation. All the information collected will contribute to formation of cases as to all the healthcare objects. They will be registered in MEMEX database, which is administered by our advocacy center. So our objective is to document all the facts of international human rights law violation, especially as to the healthcare institutions. We believe that we should restore the real picture of what's going on. And as my colleague mentioned, we believe that all those established facts later will allow to bring to responsibility those who are guilty. All the events will be covered on our coalition. I also would like to mention that we are interested in getting all possible information about the objects of our research. You may contact us via our website and share your information about damages to the healthcare object.
One of the main tasks of the work of the coalition is preparation of materials for the bodies which are involved into the investigation of military crimes, crimes against humanity. One of the tasks of the coalition is to prepare materials for the International Criminal Court. And among them, the most sensitive are crimes related to gender-based violence. One of the big projects which the coalition is implementing this year is identifying and documenting the crimes related to gender violence, gender-based violence. Here there was a quotation from the publication The Chronicles of One Battalion. It's These are diaries written by Ivan Orlov, who was a serviceman of Aidar Battalion, and we see the description of the event when the lady who was imprisoned was also raped. It's about the crimes committed by Ukrainian servicemen, basically the representatives of voluntary battalion. It's the sum of 2014. It is difficult to find traces of such crimes. Those who committed them are either in the zone of the warfare, there with arms, with weapons, and it's difficult to organize investigation against them. That is why it is difficult to do anything. The victims, when they see that there's no chance to punish those who are guilty, they do not report about such victims. In the base that is in this publication, we see the cases of such gender-based violence, and these cases related to rape, the threat of raping, and then we explained what are the most serious cases, the threat of the rape, and there's evidence of that. And these are the forms of cruel treatment when women and men are kept in detention together. That is like a form of punishing people. All these people are in the zone of risk to suffer from gender-based violence. We have the evidence of that. That is Darina Sokolova, who was pregnant in the detention facility. She was humiliated, and the treatment was very cruel related to her pregnancy. Any cruel treatment of a pregnant woman is considered to be gender-based violence. Different forms, different cases, but all of them create a bright picture that the approach itself to use gender-based violence as the instrument of pressure on people is a threat and is similar to using the weapon to men and women, castration, and there are cases, there were cases of that's using electric shock, using weapons or some other instruments for gender-based violence. All these cases they do have some information, there is some information about them.
Ми робимо
We are now examining the situation. We are collecting information from different sources in the internet or questioning victims or witnesses who were in detention facilities, using the monitoring missions. We can state that today this topic is not well examined. These are grave crimes which are to be investigated in the ATO zone, and besides, these things are to be prevented.
І ми маємо говорити про те, що українська
Ukrainian army, Ukrainian voluntary battalions have to observe the standards, the human rights in relation to the population which is in the zone of the conflict. I would like to talk about another topic which is the priority of the coalition, and that's involving children to armed groups. According to the international legislation, involving children is a military crime. The children below 15, according to international legislation, according to Ukrainian legislation, the children are the persons below 18. I would like to emphasize that making responsible persons who are guilty in such recruitment or involvement is not just an idea. You see here a person from Africa, Thomas Lubanga, who represented the Patriotic Forces of Liberating Congo. He was sentenced for 14 years by the International Criminal Court in The Hague. One of the accusations was recruiting children into armed groups. I hope that Motorola will be next to Thomas Lubanga, those who are responsible for Prizrak Battalion. This is the photograph of Vostok Battalion, which is in Donetsk. These are our children, Ukrainian, those are ours, but these are which are on the controlled territory, the girls under 18 with machine guns. The question is, how much should children be involved into military patriotic camps? Our state, our society are to be ready to counteract external aggression, but whether children should be involved into that, this is a question. Children should not be involved into armed groups, but in the course of this survey, I hope we'll be able to develop some recommendations on how such camps should function, whether they should be militarized, should they be militarized in general. As to the forms of involvement, this could be different type of forms. You see these possible forms, using children as life shields, as spies, as bodyguards, those who are putting mines, explosives, supplies of mail, using children as cooks, as carriers, according to the statute of the International Criminal Court, is a crime. Once we're talking about children under 15.
What do we survey? We survey the facts of recruitment. We look for witnesses who were personally familiar with those victims. We clarify all the circumstances, the persons who promoted or supported such recruitment. We find those people who are responsible for active mobilization to the military units. Unfortunately, those cases of recruitment, or children's recruitment to military conflict existed both on Ukrainian control side and on occupied territory. When children under 18 voluntarily joined volunteer battalions, much less attention at that time was paid to this fact in the Ukrainian military units. As of today, Ukrainian authorities are more attentive to these facts, while in the occupied territories, this is quite broadly spread. And we try to understand how children came to the recruitment and what is their further destiny, what is the situation in military units. Finally, we try to understand what will happen with these children further. Unfortunately, some of those children are already dead. That is what we wish to say about priority aspects of our work. I would like to encourage people who know about such facts, please report about such cases. We guarantee the security of information, the secrecy of information, and we will try to deliver all possible ways of assistance. Dear colleagues, do you have any questions? Since there are no further questions, let us finish. I wish you success. See you next time.